Beneath the clear waters off Yonaguni, sharp stone steps rise from the seafloor like the edge of a vanished city. What made a formation this geometric, this deliberate, and this unsettlingly large? Yonaguni sits at Japan's far western edge, where the sea is deep, restless, and full of currents. It is the kind of place where a strange shape on the ocean floor can become a legend almost overnight. The monument was brought to wider attention in the late 1980s, when divers began describing an underwater landscape that looked less like erosion and more like architecture. From the beginning, it divided the people who saw it. What caught the imagination was not just size, but shape, terraces, right angles, and long straight lines that seemed to repeat across the formation. In the language of mystery, it looked designed before it looked natural. Supporters of the lost civilization idea saw something even more provocative. If these surfaces were cut or shaped by people, then the sea had preserved a fragment of a world that should have been swallowed by time. That possibility matters because Yonaguni lies in a region where sea levels changed dramatically after the last ice age. A shoreline that is underwater today may once have been dry land, inhabited and alive. The question is not whether the ocean can reshape stone, because it can. The question is whether this place carries too many clean angles, too many orderly surfaces to be explained by water alone. Divers reported broad flat tops, narrow ledges, and what looked like a staircase descending into the blue. Seen from the right angle, the formation seems to invite a human reading almost against your will. One of the most discussed features is the apparent symmetry of the main structure. Even allowing for erosion, the repeated geometry gives the site a visual logic that feels difficult to dismiss quickly. Another striking detail is scale. These are not small breaks in a reef, but massive surfaces that seem arranged in a way a person can read from a distance, like a monumental plan half erased by the sea. Photographs and dives turned the debate into something larger than local folklore. Once the images circulated, the monument became a test case for how far pattern geology and imagination can pull in different directions. Some researchers argued that the site could preserve evidence of ancient human activity, perhaps from a time when coastlines were very different. In that reading, the monument is not a curiosity, but a clue. The strongest case for that idea rests on the apparent regularity of the cuts and corners. Nature can make surprising shapes, but straight lines stacked in sequence always raise the same old question: formed by whom or by what? There is also the matter of placement. The monument seems to sit in a landscape, not as a single broken slab, but as part of a broader arrangement of ridges and platforms that encourages comparison with built spaces. For believers, that arrangement is exactly what makes the site so compelling. It feels less like one odd rock and more like the remnant of a larger system, perhaps a ceremonial place or a coastal stronghold. Still, the sea is an unforgiving sculptor. Currents, fractures, and long stretches of time can turn natural stone into something that looks astonishingly intentional, especially when viewed through the lens of expectation. That is where the debate sharpens. Skeptics question whether the right angles are truly man-made, or whether they are simply the exposed faces of a rock body, split along natural planes. The material itself matters here. If the formation is a kind of sandstone or similar layered stone, it can break into blocks and terraces that mimic masonry far better than most people expect. And yet the monument keeps returning to the same visual problem. Some surfaces look too smooth, some edges too crisp, and some corners too close to 90 degrees to ignore casually. That tension is the heart of the case. In the decades since its discovery, the site has become a kind of mirror. To one person, it is a geological oddity. To another, a drowned testimony to forgotten builders who lived before the sea took their world. That lost world idea is powerful because it fits a broader pattern found in many coastal myths. A civilization remembered after the shoreline itself has disappeared. Yonaguni gives that old story a physical place to stand. The monument also invites comparison with other megalithic sites around the world, where enormous stonework can seem to carry a shared sense of purpose. Whether coincidence or connection, the resemblance feeds the mystery. If the structure was shaped by people, then the technical question becomes unavoidable. How did they cut, move and arrange such heavy stone on a coastline that now lies beneath the waves? That question grows sharper because the monument appears so large in relation to the human body. The scale suggests labor, planning, and a level of organization that would have required more than casual effort. Some observers point to possible tool marks, while others see only natural striations and weathering. The same surface can look carved in one light and entirely geological in another, which is part of why the argument endures. The site's setting adds another layer. Strong currents, shifting sand, and marine growth can hide context, erase edges, and make it harder to know where the original form ends and the ocean begins. That loss of context is frustrating, but it is also what keeps the monument alive as a mystery. The sea preserved the shape while taking away the easy answers that might have settled the matter long ago. Around Yonaguni, the story has grown beyond one formation. Nearby features have been described as walls, channels, and other structured shapes, building a broader impression that the seafloor may hold a larger pattern. Taken together, those shapes encourage the imagination to assemble a lost settlement from fragments. Even if that picture proves too ambitious, it explains why the site continues to draw serious attention. The skeptical reading remains grounded in geology. Layered rock, fractures, and erosion can create bold geometry without any human hand at all. That explanation is plausible, but it does not erase the site's uncanny appearance. What makes Yonaguni linger is that both readings still have weight. The monument can be seen as a masterpiece of natural forces and also as the kind of place that tempts us to look for a forgotten chapter of human history. And that is where the debate becomes more than a technical dispute. It becomes a question about memory itself. How much of the ancient world have we lost to the sea, and how would we know if we found it?